So I will now start the presentation by saying something first about our organization, TransHit Bio. We see ourselves mostly as a contract research organization that supports both the biopharma and the diagnostics industry in the area of biospecimens. We are a team of experts. We have 10 PhD project leaders who have a variety of expertise. They have a different expertises which will support our specialty, which is basically connecting biospecimen providers across the world with end users. Put together a unique proprietary database over the time since our inception, which was about 7 or 8 years ago, and have now a database of 1,600 plus biospecimen providers in this database. But we partner mostly with about 100 of these with whom we have special agreements, and these biospecimen providers together collect from about 300 hospitals across the world. We are recognized as an expert contract research organization, and that is evidenced in the fact that we do publish peer-reviewed articles. Here's a couple of examples. And we also are invited regularly at conferences and presentations as a speaker. Sometimes we apply to be a speaker, but very often, especially these examples, are from special invitations which were extended to us personally. Many of you are researchers, or at least are in industry and are involved in obtaining biospecimens. In a recent survey that we conducted about a year and a half ago, we found out where industry tends to get its samples for research. 10% of you, and some of you may have participated in the survey, you will know who you are, 10% of the industry partners that we work with, and also some others that we don't work with, responded that they use in-house collections. For 30% of their biospecimen needs, they go to academic and hospital-based biospecimen providers, and for 60%, they go to commercial biobank providers. Now let's see what this exactly means. In the first case, the in-house collections, most of the time, the specimens, be it tissue or bloods or anything, come from clinical trials which have been carried out by the company itself. Secondly, the use of academic and hospital-based biospecimen providers. These are collecting sites linked to hospitals. They may be linked to universities. They may be community hospitals. They may be health clinics. They may be general practitioners. But also companies. We include in these types of providers companies that work with a network of community hospitals. So saying that these are biospecimen providers, academic linked and hospital linked, they can include indeed commercial companies. Last but not least, we have the commercial biospecimen providers, which include virtual commercial entities who buy samples from other commercial entities or from hospitals, and they then distribute them on their own. They have no relationship with hospitals or direct collecting sites. They can also be catalog entities, and I'm sure you can think of some, where you can click on a specimen which is on a website and order your specimens that way. Again, these catalog entities don't have any relationship with hospital collecting sites. Many of them, actually most of them, get their samples from elsewhere and then stick them, may put them in their own biobank. A couple of things to comment about this. Not all biospecimen providers are like this, but many of them see biospecimens as the same as reagents and will offer discounts sometimes, which in our view takes away from the ethical value of a biospecimen. Okay, so the biospecimen acquisition itself is a process. And at first, it may seem to be a very simple one. You have a donor, you have an end user, and we just get a donor sample directly to the user. If you are responsible for biospecimens for your company, you know that this is actually, that there's a lot more to it than just the donor and an end user. It's a complicated process with different steps and different procedures that all encompass a fairly complex process. You have to find the right provider. You have to make sure that the design is correct. You have to get ethics approval and legal agreements in place, contracts, etc. I'm sure that some of you are very much aware of these different items and where the issues, and at any step of the way, an issue may occur. So let's start with looking at some case studies from our own experience where issues came up and that we tried to resolve as best as we could. So case number one is part of the importance of actively monitoring your documents. Case number one is about a biobank that actually contacted ourselves and they asked to be one of our collaborators. Sometimes, most of the time, we contact biospecimen providers ourselves and review their processes to see if they're appropriate to become one of our partners. When we asked this particular provider to give us some documents. We wanted their IRB approval, examples of SOPs. We also wanted to see their consent form. This is what happened.